Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So this article I see on MSN.com by way of the Western Journal says majority of non-citizen households, illegals, green card holders on taxpayer-funded welfare, says a study. Let's get to this because there's a couple things I want to touch on. It says if you're a tax-paying American citizen, the stream of illegal aliens, it'd be illegal immigrants. I don't think we can use aliens like midgets. Can't use that words, can you? Entering the country or living at your expense. A new study indicates more than half of households headed by a non-citizen are receiving welfare benefits. The Center for Immigration Studies analyzed the 2022 data, Census Bureau's survey of income and program participation to find the data. Analysis of this data shows both immigrants and the U.S. born make extensive use of means-tested anti-poverty programs, with immigrant households significantly more likely to receive benefits. The study, authored by Stephen A. Camarota and Karen Ziegler, concluded a 54% majority of immigrant households used at least one welfare program in 2022, according to the study. This figure includes those naturalized in the U.S. We know how they naturalized. We're going to go to that in just a second. Even more migrant households use welfare benefits, with those headed by a naturalized citizen or excluded. A healthy 59% of households headed by either a green card holder or an illegal alien are on welfare, according to the study. Migrants are eligible for some federal welfare benefits and access to others through U.S.-born children, colloquially referred to as anchor babies. The migrant tendency towards welfare use was observed throughout the socioeconomic spectrum. You see, like I say, we got a country that claims we don't have money, like I say, for reparations. We don't have money for inner city programs for our kids. You know, they have a few STEM programs, but nothing really of a significant, anything that's going to really put a dent in the budget. Now don't get me wrong, people. Don't always, I'm going to tell you like this, do not count on your government to come through for you. If your city, your part of town, or you can get there on a bus route or whatever car you got, has a library within walking distance or bike riding distance, get to it, get your kids there. They all have programs during the summertime where you can learn something. All of them do. You just gotta put the work in and research. If you want to educate yourself to become knowledgeable of what can help you sustain yourself financially in the future, like say STEM, AI, coding, things of that nature. But with that being said, like I said, the government got a lot of questions. Need a lot of answers. And one of them is where you get the money from. Like I said, taxpayers are paying for these things. I can't recall. Let me get to that in a second. But it says 59% of illegal heads, households, 52% legal. 39% of U.S. born headed households include anchor babies. I'd like to know the percentage of Americans whose family has been here. Oh, these are like little Twitter and TikTok statements. But let's listen to this right quick.
So the growing economic impact of Biden's border crisis. A new report from the Center for Immigration Studies showed nearly 3 in 5 illegal immigrants households are on taxpayer-funded welfare support. Steve Camarota is the research director at the Center for Immigration Studies, and he joins us now. So 60% of the folks that are coming here illegally are being supported by the taxpayer. So what happened to all of these folks saying they're giving to society?
Right. So what happens is very often illegal immigrants have U.S.-born children. Most illegal immigrant-headed households have a U.S.-born child, so they get the benefits on behalf of a U.S.-born child. The reason...
And that's one of the concerns that a lot of U.S. citizens are having, tax-paying citizens, because it's bad enough we had to fight about property taxes. You know, how about like a lot of us are paying, let's say you're paying school taxes if you don't have kids in school. Seems kind of throw it off. But you do it because it's for the community, right? You're doing it because you paid your dues, you got your house, you got your car, you got your property, house, your property, pay property taxes. Okay, help build a community. When you go into these inner cities and you see how none of these inner cities are getting better. Schools, they're not getting new schools. I think maybe the SOC get redone, I believe so, not too long ago. Zoom walk, I think. But we got schools that are being shut down. But that's where the tax dollars are supposed to go to. But again, when you have properties that they don't value them like they value properties in white neighborhoods, it lowers the taxes that can be put into your community. Like I said before, you can have the same house, same specs, just because you have a skin of darker color, skin of color, period. They like to appraise your house for a lot less than they would their own people, which means the taxes, your community don't pay a whole lot of taxes, as much as taxes as everyone else does. Which means that your neighborhood is not going to get the benefits, and you're not going to get the roads built. Your schools are not going to be, redone, or you're not going to get new schools built. You're not going to get these $50 million football stadiums built in the cities. It's just everything going to stay status quo until you leave, and the neighborhood just falls apart. And then developers come in and redo it, and and it's like you never was there. That's history. But for U.S. citizens to pay on the well, and a lot of citizens, they like to say that, call my sisters welfare queens, talking about the women in the black community, stuff like that, when we know that more white people on welfare than is black people, but that's really going by percentages, so that's nothing surprising, right? The problem is, you talk about that, but then here's a situation where your laws and what you allow is biting you in the butt, because now our taxpayer money is going to people who are not paying taxes. And I'm gonna read this study here in a second. That's going to kind of probably irritate you even more. I can recall years ago, before, when I was in school, trying to go into nursing school, just to get into it. I was unemployed. I had worked, for a warehouse for 10, 13 years. But I wasn't really unemployed. Call it underemployed. But for the classes I needed to take, sometimes the hours of the job wouldn't coincide with it. So I had to make a choice. And my choice was school. My choice was get through school, go through this issue, go through this down period, get through school, and it'll all work out in the end, which it's doing now, which is benefiting me now. But there's a time, I'm gonna say about a 2 or 3 year period, that I got on the system because of my daughters. And it was hard, man. Like the first time did an interview, I go down to the office and I see nothing but Hispanic people, women, and they got this woman. I remember one car in particular. This woman had I remember it was a burgundy Suburban sitting on rims and had like a satellite dish on the top of the truck, right? And she's in there like with her kids. I'm in there. I got a 99 Malibu. I think it was paid off by this time. And shoot, or maybe I had that Impala. I might have had that 02 Impala that was like barely barely making. I don't think I had the Impala yet. But anyway, regardless, I was struggling. You know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to get through school. And I'm sitting here like, dang, how in the heck, if they just go outside and see this truck, they gonna know something ain't right. Because hell, I can't afford that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a citizen, I work every day, and I got 2 kids and they still got their mom in their life. And it's like, what the heck? But they know how to circumvent the system, right? But I get a certain amount of food stamps. They get, either Medicaid. Is it Medicaid for little kids? I think so. And whatever. Really didn't have no problem the first couple of interviews. After that, I got this lady. It sounded like she was Caribbean or African. She's questioning me on the phone. I mean, she's interrogating me. And gonna sit there and tell me that she believed that I was lying about my situation, that me and my ex were still living. Now, she looked and saw that there were 3 cars that was in my name. And I'm sitting here thinking like, how in the hell? I said, now, if you can see those 3 cars in my name and I ain't tell you about them, then that means you should see that 2 of those cars I don't have. The house I don't have. None of that, all that stuff is gone. I'm living by myself alone in an apartment. Well, not, you know what I'm talking about. Not with the ex. In an apartment. And going to school, trying to work, ain't making a lot of money, but you want to say that I'm lying about. I say, make it make sense that I'm paying, that I would rather pay a house note and an apartment. And at the time, 2 car notes, I guess you saying I had? For what? $400 in food stamps? Make it make sense. But she was like, I'm gonna investigate, I'm gonna report you, blah, blah, blah. In the end, I still got the benefits because I don't know, but it's like, damn, just because I was a dude, you had a problem with me trying to make it. And I knew I wasn't gonna use that for a couple of years because I'm just trying to maintain a lifestyle just to be able to survive, because I'm living off credit cards, I'm living off 401k, I'm giving plasma, all this kind of stuff to try to make it so I can get through school. Once I get through school, like I said, give me a couple years, I'm done with it. That's how I feel the system should be used. You get like a specific amount of time, 18 months, 2 years to use the system. We revisit. If you ain't done no better, if you ain't moving forward, we're gonna get you off of it. You better figure something else out. But for 2 years, we're gonna make it to where you don't need nothing. All you gotta do is just concentrate on schooling and getting you a good job or a good career. That is it. That's how the system should be used. But anyway, that's just my own little personal story. But my point is how they try to make it so hard for me to be able to take care of myself and my kids. Try to make a better life for everybody. And on this, as long as you got an anchor baby and you ain't making, because they want you to be like super poor. But if you're super poor, it's kind of hard to go to school and you working. They want you to make enough money, but not enough money. So it's like it's teeter-tottering on, if you make too much, you don't get none, but if you make too little, it's really hard for you to go to school. Depending on what your circumstances is, it's kind of hard for you to do anything to do more. Depending on what your circumstances is, you may not be where you want to be just yet, but you're getting there. But if you get a little closer, they're going to cut your benefits, so it keeps you right there. Unless, like I said, you got a support group or you just willing to take that sacrifice, like I had to, in so many ways, to be able to get through, like I say, nursing school or whatever.
The reason that they qualify is because they're so poor. And the reason they're poor is that most, but by no means all, illegal immigrants tend to have very modest levels of education. So they do work. This is not because they don't work. This is because they work, but they make very low income.
And that low income affects citizens. And that's one thing that not really, that the Biden administration or whoever's in office really don't want to talk about. They'll do jobs like on one end, the people say, oh, they coming over here to do the work that you don't want to do. It's not that we don't want to do the work. It's that we don't want to do the work for what you're paying because we can't survive. And let's say, like, as a man, if you're trying to survive, like I say, it's hard for you to get on this welfare, on this system. And as a man, you don't want to be on this system for a long time. You don't want to be on it, period. But if it's to help you get to a next level, you're willing to take that, but you don't want to do it forever. So then it's like, but like I said, it's harder for us to get those assistants. So what do? We get one job, we get two jobs, we get three jobs. Now we out here killing ourselves trying to survive. And then you got studies that show that men die earlier by like 7 and 9 years earlier than women. And you wonder why. Because we're trying our best to provide, because that's our genetic makeup. And so we're going to work, real men. We're going to work, we're going to hustle, we're going to sacrifice to make sure our people are taken care of. And what's the things we get? We die early. We get talked about saying that, we didn't provide enough for our families, just that and the third. But women not really understanding what we go through, because women, y'all can sit there and shed tears and say that y'all not getting anything and mess around and, like I said, get all the welfare you want until your kids grow up. But not us. But like I said, what I wanted to show real quick about that, there's this study called the Boycott-Economics PDF. It's on the CIS.org, and I will probably put this in the description box so y'all can read it for yourself. And it says Immigration and American Worker, a review of the academic literature. This is printed April of 2013. And it basically says, the presence of all immigrant workers, legal and illegal, in the labor market makes the U.S. economy GDP an estimate 11% larger, 1.6 trillion each year. This contribution to the aggregated economy, however, does not measure the net benefit to the native-born population. Now check this out. Out of 1.6 trillion increase in the GDP, 97.8% goes to the immigrants themselves in the forms of wages and benefits, which means a lot of times, and everybody knows, especially down here in Texas, they get that money and they send it back home. Even I've seen Africans do the same thing. They'll make money and they'll use that money to send it back home, and they're building a house. They're buying land and they're back in their country. They're building homes. And when they get ready to retire, they're going to move back. So that money doesn't stay in the community. Unlike our money. At least our money stays in the country. A lot of times you go to these little old stores that ain't owned by black people or people in the neighborhood, and they take the money outside the neighborhood to their homes, to their homes or whatever. Say other sales, foreign wage benefits, the remainder constitutes the immigration surplus, the benefit accruing to the native-born population, including both workers. So you're talking not even 2%, a little over 2% coming to, back to the citizens. Standard textbook model of competitive labor market yields an estimate of the immigration surplus equals to $35 billion a year, or about 0.2% of the total GDP in the United States from both legal and illegal immigration. So the immigration surplus of $35 billion comes from reducing the wages. And check this out. The immigration surplus of $35 billion comes from reducing the wages of natives in competition with immigrants by an estimated $402 billion a year, while increasing profits of the incomes of users of immigrants by an estimated $437 billion. So the companies are making the money and the workers aren't. What else to say? Let me read this real quick. Illegal immigration. Applying the standard textbook model of illegal immigration shows that illegal immigrants increased GDP by 395 to 472 billion. As before, this contribution to the economy does not measure the net benefit to the natives. Like I say, 97.8% goes back to them, which they ship a majority of it back home if they're not using it on themselves. Or they might even build a little Mexico, as we call it, a little town, and they might, use it amongst themselves. The immigration surplus or benefit to the natives created by illegal immigrants is estimated around $9 billion a year, or 0.0% of the GDP. 0.06%. Although the net benefit to native from illegal immigrants are small, there's a sizable redistribution effect. Illegal immigration reduces the wage of native workers by an estimated $99 to $118 billion a year, and generates a gain for businesses and other users of immigration of $107 to $128 billion a year. So basically what it's saying is, let me see. Classifying workers by education level, comparing difference across the group over time. So the 10% increase in the size of an education gap due to the entry of immigrants, both legal and illegal, reduces the wage of native-born men in that group by 3.7% and wage of all native-born workers by 2.5%. So basically what it's telling you, like every year, the wages for people who do these manual labor jobs used to be strictly like construction and what you call it, landscaping. But now you can go to like warehouse work, hell, even working in fast food, grocery stores, working at the car wash, you name it. If you see them there, best believe that the wages for Native Americans, what we call Native, we're talking about U.S. citizens, decrease anywhere from 2.5% to damn near 4% every year. So this is why American citizens don't want to do these jobs. But your companies, your big corporations, use these people to keep making money. This is probably one of the reasons why the Biden administration is allowing all these people in. You think about this. Like I did this video where they showed all these parolees from different countries can come over here and seek asylum. Parolees now, if you got somebody who's like financially sponsoring you, basically, which means you can have a company, you can have a family that needs a nanny or a lawn man or whatever the case may be. Say, hey, I'll sponsor that person. They can come here and work for me. But let's say they come over here and they commit a crime, but now they can go to the prison system and work in the prison system for free, because a lot of citizens now are complaining about prison being modern day slavery because it's in the Constitution. And so now the U.S. government, hey, them folks look at things years and decades in advance while we looking at surface level issues. You're bringing the migrants over. I mean, we can talk about how, it's not right, how y'all gonna do us like this, and we can cry till the cows come home. But we know what it is. It's making those with money, it's just making them more money, period. And they're willing to destroy and ostracize their poor citizens who are gonna continue to ask for what we deserve because we're citizens. And they just say, hey, we'll just leave y'all homeless, but we'll bring in. So let's say you bring in 2 million people, allow 2 million people come across that border. The majority of them do want to work, right? So you bring them in, they're undocumented, and then you put them to work. You give them housing. We usually charge $100 a night, but for them, we do it for free. It ain't like we really got to charge $100. That's what we charge you. Really, we might can keep the doors open with $25 or $50 a night. It don't matter. And the federal government gonna give it to us anyway because they got money to give to Ukraine and Israel. So don't think they ain't got the money to do this. They have the money. It's just they're gonna not tell you about it, or they're gonna use it on what they want to and not tell you about it. So it's basically just to keep the economy going. Everything in this country, I've told you, it's about race. It's all about the economy. Once you realize that racially things are dictated, or things are dictated dealing with race, then you'll understand the government and the way this world is ran more. You'll understand it more, and then you'll be able to break everything else down. So now you're saying that, hey, everybody want to complain about it. A lot of black people talking about reparations. Let's just get these people over here. Let them work for little or nothing. We'll find ways to circumvent the laws and the Constitution so we can find a way to keep them over here so they can work for little or nothing. These black people want to get upset. Hell, we already gentrify the neighborhoods by, coming in, developing their land, developing their homes, increasing the property values, increasing the taxes to where they can't afford to live there. So we'll give them pennies on a dollar and then tell them to go and find you somewhere to live. Oh, you can't afford this up here? I'm sure you can move somewhere, but you got to go. It's all a plan. So understand it. So get yourself and get your family ready, because what you're going to have to do is Everybody gonna have to move in together. One big family. Figure out a way to, how can I put this? Buy you some land, give you some little old single wide, double wide, little small houses, put it on the land, create little small towns again. That's what you're gonna have. That's what it's gonna come to. Create little small towns and everything's gotta start over. Everything's gotta start over. That's just what it is. But again, you gotta pay attention to politics and vote them Democrats out so we can get them people out of here. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story, man. I'm not gonna go too long on this. Tell me what you think about the story. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. With that being said, I leave you in peace and I'll see you on the other side.